This video is to test out the new functionality released by Amazon on the Athena cross account federated query. So as per this documentation, it says like you will be able to from Athena, you will be able to connect to your cross accounts data sources, anything other than S3. Like so far, we would be once the S3 permissions are given, you can actually run Athena on an S3 account, which is like not an S3 account, like on the S3 data that is existing in a different account. But with this, you will be able to also query other data sources. So let's just quickly take a look at the architecture though. So this is like within, it's the current feature. So within an AWS account, you have an Athena, which is connecting through a federated query. So it just uses like an SDK, pre-built SDK released by AWS, and then that is deployed through a Lambda function, which is connecting to the DynamoDB data source. It can connect to multiple data sources, but for this particular demonstration, I'm using only like DynamoDB. So again, like just restating this architecture, you have a DynamoDB in your own account, and then you are used to query data within Athena only. So since DynamoDB has a slight different variation of how you query the data, or like any other data sources, you'd have to switch between screens to query the data. Instead, you are simply connecting Athena to the other data sources through this federated like a query capability. Athena, like AWS, has already released some SDKs that is deployed through the Lambda function. So let's take a look at that like in action though here, right? I have a DynamoDB, like I have couple of DynamoDB tables in my account here in account A, and I've also I'm used to like query the data in Athena. So I've created a data source connector. So if you see, apart from the AWS data catalog, I've also connected through the data source connector like Homeworks, and I'll just show the configuration of that. So if I had opened that data source connector, it would say like it's pointing to a Lambda function, as I said, like Homeworks, and then that Lambda function is like within my own account, and that is helping me to connect to the DynamoDB, and then do the queries. So if I come to the Athena console, you see that there is all this tables, whatever I am seeing in the DynamoDB is actually present in the Athena. But all of these, and then here is the function also. On the function here, it says like enables Amazon Athena to communicate with DynamoDB, making your tables accessible via SQL. That's the main part of it. And you see that it's written in like Java 8, and it's Amazon's own SDK, so I don't need to like worry about writing any piece of code to connect to the DynamoDB tables. So the let's go to like a different account. So what does the cross account federated query actually mean? So here is the architecture here, right? So this is like the AWS account, and I've just now named it as a AWS account 1. And then now I have another account from Athena, like, and then in that account from Athena, I would want to connect to this DynamoDB data source. So for that, I'm going to leverage this same Lambda that is actually is running this SDK that is written by Amazon already. So the same Lambda function is actually referenced from this another account, so that I will be able to query this DynamoDB tables. So let's see that how it is set up in my second account. So I'm in the second account. So all I did is like I was in Amazon Athena, and then I said like data sources. I would have to connect to a data source. So at this point, it's little confusion here, right? Like whatever connectors you use, it really doesn't matter is how like I'm seeing it right now. So if I select like DynamoDB here, and then I'm going to call it like cross account, and the lambda function, that's the key part of it here. So you do not create a new lambda function, okay? Because you don't the lambda functions created will be referencing only to your current account. So when we go back to the architecture, the lambda function created is only referencing to your current DynamoDB tables or like Redshift tables, anything like that. So don't create a new lambda function. Instead, you go to the lambda function in your other account and then add a resource based policy to say which are all the roles that will be accessing this data. So again, I'm not sure about like how many policies like can be added here. So you can like give access to like data scientists in other account, or your business users in other account, etc. If there is like based on a role, it will be helpful than like an user. So here I have just like given a user account here. So which is from my other account, like from my account 2 is given permissions in account 1 to run the lambda query, and that's the invoke, the lambda invoke function is given. So if I let me come back to the Athena, like to the Athena screen in the other account. So I'm saying like use an existing lambda function, and the existing lambda function, as I mentioned, I would have to like give the complete on of it. Complete on of it. I'm going to pause the video, and then I'll just like show it after I save how it is. So so I have given the on, complete on of that lambda function inside here, and I can see this cross account connector. So apart from giving the lambda function the permissions for account B to execute, like to invoke it, we also have to give the permissions in the spill bucket in account A. So whenever you set up the connector in the account a spill bucket would be defined, and that spill bucket is where kind of the Athena query results is still going, I believe. So that in that spill bucket, you have to give the account B permissions for getting the objects and then listing the bucket. So now let's take a look at the complete architecture with the IAM roles in place. Okay. So if you see this, this picture is just updated with the IAM role and then the permissions that was established. So the in the account 2, I'm working under this training user, and this training user is given invoke lambda function to the lambda that is existing in the account 1, which is the lambda that is also running that federated query, and then that account is all that account role, like that role is also given permissions to the spill bucket. So now let's go back to the um, account 2 to see if we are able to run the query, right? So let's go to the query editor, and if I go to the query editor, I am expecting to see cross account. Okay, that's good. And it's, I think it is refreshing it, and it's refreshing the databases, so default, which is also good. Okay, here you go. All the tables that is existing in my other account is also here. So I'm just going to run a query in these two accounts to just make sure the results returned is like the same. Okay, so I will go back here. I'm just going to run this. Let me just do Gen 3 levels. Okay, so it's running the query here in the source account. So this is the main account where the actual DynamoDB is present. So about 138 columns, like 138 rows are there. So if I go to the DynamoDB and then I say like Gen 3 levels, you see that there is 138 records here. So let's test it out from the cross account. So I'm going to run the same query, and so before I would have to like set up my query results bucket. So okay. Okay, so I've set up my Athena query results bucket. So I'm going to run this query. I'm expecting to see the same answer like 138 that was given in the source account also. So let's see. Okay, so it's 138. So what I have observed is like if you do not give the permissions to the spill bucket, the queries would still run if you are giving like a limit action, and then if you are actually just like running any normal query without this aggregate functionalities, etc. So unless you give the permission to the spill bucket, like not unless, like basically if you are not having the permissions to the spill bucket, some of the queries would be still running and some queries will not be running. So just make sure, if in case you are getting an S3 access denied error, check to see if you have given the permissions to the spill bucket. Now let's take a look at how the data is actually getting into the S3 buckets, because the whole concept of this cross account federated query is actually telling that if you have a data in another account, you will be able to like connect from the second account and run the federated query, and then the data will be stored in S3 buckets where the data scientists can further come and do more analysis, right? So let's just quickly take a look at that functionality, which you may have taken a look at that earlier whenever we run the Athena queries, but this is just some extra step I thought I can show you guys. So subject, and then I'm gonna do like vertical, and if I run this query, okay, here are the results. And let me go to the S3 to check out the results in the Athena, the S3 buckets actually. So, so here is the result that I just ran right now. Okay, here you go. So that's it. This is a real good feature that AWS has introduced. Again, like going back to the architecture here, if there is data existing in any other data sources, right, DynamoDB or Redshift or DocumentDB, anything in a different account without having any data shares, you would be able to like run the query from Athena itself, and then like access, put that results into the S3 bucket in this current account. If you are talking about like for any programmatic access, this is good. Definitely, I'm interested to see how the security pieces works in case like if in Redshift we are having groups established and then the users are added to the groups, and if such query cross account query is established, would the Redshift group permissions be taken forward through this lambda bucket, right? Like actually through this lambda role, because this lambda role is the one that is actually running against this DynamoDB and then running against the Redshift clusters. So how would the permissions be applied to a single lambda role when the cross account permissions or like cross account accesses are done through the federated query, and even through the Athena when you're running the queries through the federated query model, how is the permissions applied? I'm just curious to know about that. Thank you. I hope you all like write this video, and if there is any comments, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. Thank you.